going on, everybody? My name is Case. This is Systemic Caseism, and I'm talking tonight with my buddy Mikey Havoc, because he was in a cult just like me. So Mikey was in the Jehovah's Witness cult. I was in the cult of the Family Foundation School. This camera's way too fucking close. So Mikey, I wanted to talk to you about some of the stuff that went on there. Like what was it like for you? Like tell me how you got introduced into it.
All right. I've never heard of yours. That's interesting. But
Yeah, it was a boarding school that was like an ideological cult based off of like AA, kind of a blend of religions, and like sort of this cult of shame and shunning and fear, and
it's
basically break you down, rebuild you in their image type stuff.
sounds like Jehovah's Witnesses, but it's a boarding school. Man, like I actually was born into it.
Okay.
So I had a different perspective than people that convert. Like my dad would drink a lot, so he didn't want to go to AA because it was a cult.
That's funny. That's funny.
So a Jehovah's Witness came. They're like, "We're not a cult. We're a religion." And he's like, "Yeah, and you don't drink." So I grew up in that.
Wow. So he joined the J Dubs.
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild. Because, like, I mean, look, your dad ain't wrong about that. Like, AA is a cult.
Yeah, man, I've been to a meeting. Like, it's
I've been
kind
to
of
a lot of
weird.
them. Yes. It is. And I don't want to shit on it completely because it helps people, and I kind of think people need help,
Yeah. I just, like, from how, like, my perspective, it's like, if it works for you, that's awesome.
Right.
But I don't always need what you need.
Yeah, anything that see, for me, anything that sort of like is a rigid ideology feels real familiar to me, but I don't like it, and probably because I was immersed in it for I was at mine for like 2 years, and I got sent there against my will. I was like a drug addict when I was a kid. I was like a heroin addict, crackhead.
And that's what they gave you to fix
it.
Or their intention was to fix it.
Their intention was to fix it, but it very quickly became, like, it was apparent to me within like 5 minutes of getting there that something was wrong.
Volume. I can't hear you.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear me now?
You. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Jake was calling in. Hold on, let me put my shit on Do Not Disturb. Here.
Yeah, I'm a very
I lost you. I lost your camera.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm a very trial by error person. I'm like, I should do that too.
Yeah, hold on one sec. Oh, with Mikey. Yeah, it was weird for me. Like for me, I never really believed in all of it, but it's funny how, like, ideas can sort of possess people. Like I bought without consciously believing in their ideas. I made it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like when I got out, when I was in there, they would tell you all the time, "Hey, if you even have one drink, you're going to go back to doing heroin."
Oh yeah. That's a very big vibe they give.
And and I believe, hey, maybe for some people that might be true, but
not everyone.
But not everybody. And I also find that, like, I found that whole control structure of, obviously there's a need for hierarchies, right? Like I'm not one of these people that believes there's no need for hierarchies. Hierarchy is inevitable, but I don't like where somebody wants to have a lot of control over me for their own benefit. And not my own,
And it's kind of you. It's like you're a lackey or something. Like you feel like you're. Yeah, I've been in that, like
somebody just wants to exert their own power over you.
And you just spin, man.
Right.
And then you're trying
to and you're trying to please that person because that person is telling you, like, giving you validation and saying, "Hey, look, you're not really working this unless I get what I want." And it's like, Yeah, but that's manipulative. Well, the fact that you're pointing it out makes you not working the I just, yeah, you spin
Hmm.
and then you just go, screw this.
Yeah,
You know,
they're
I,
kind of
I'm,
like lawyers, like or like, well, a more appropriate, it's like terms and conditions.
uh-huh.
Like, there's so many damn rules in these groups and stuff, and they're like, oh, you broke a rule. You're like, I didn't know that was a rule. And they're like,
You
did you
should have
read the
known.
Bible? And you're like,
Right.
which Bible? Like, yeah, because like I was in it for about, like, I left at 18, but like how you had that, like, you're like, there's something off here.
Hmm.
Like, the whole time I was a kid, it's like, I'm like, there's something off here, but everyone's doing it.
Right.
It's like a whole different culture, like, deal. It's like being like, it's kind of like you're in America. They put a blindfold on you. They take you to like South Africa or Colombia, South America, and it's like, okay, now immerse yourself in this culture.
Yes, and no, and they
But they're
they
denying, because like you're in the real world, so they're denying that's actually a thing because they want you to believe in their deal.
yes, they want you ideologically possessed. And what
Hmm.
what what I found was that I went into it when I was 16. So I was 16 and I was particularly jaded, and I found it
Uh,
fascinating that so at my school, all of the kids, I mean, and we were kids. There were kids from
yeah.
like as young as 9 to as
Hmm.
old as like 20 something. But like that place, and I tell you, like this is how you know it's a cult. That place would have ran the same way without staff. Like if staff were to have left for a week, we wouldn't have all left. And that's what's crazy. And like myself included in that. Nobody would have been the first one or the second one to do that. And if they tried, the mob would have stopped them. Like that's
Hmm.
what that place was, you know?
Yeah, it's wild because like, yeah, like if yeah, 'cause, like they like Joe's Witnesses has evolved. It's kind of weird.
Hmm.
Every so often they change their structure because they have to make money somehow.
Right.
So it's like in the 70s they had a different version, and then like when I was in, like, the version I was in was from between 75, because before that they were like, stay alive till 75. This is the end.
Yeah, they're
Then
they're
it
the end of
fucks
the
up.
world, right?
Yeah,
The
then it
apocalypse is
doesn't
always coming.
happen, and they're like, all right, we got, that was them, man. All those idiots, they, I don't know where they got that idea, but we're doing this. It's like, what? You told us that idea.
Right. It's like the climate people. Dude, I've been alive for 45 years. And like for as long as I've been alive, sorry, 44 years.
Hmm.
For as long as I've been alive, in 10 years, the earth is going to like get destroyed because of something that we're doing. And like, that's why I hear that shit now. Like, and I see young people get real concerned with it. And I'm like,
Hmm.
this isn't the thing to be afraid of because like for all my life. Like when I was a kid, it was an ice age. So if you could
Yeah.
believe that. And then when I
Yeah.
got a little bit older, it was the ozone layer, and then it was the rising oceans. And like by the time I got to be about 35, I realized this is all just bullshit. It's
Yeah.
all just bullshit. Yeah, does the climate change? Of course it does. Are we going to be able to do anything to fix it? No, not that's going to make it better.
Yeah. And
You know?
I kind of see it like everything has like a bit of truth. Like, I'm like, man, like, do you really think in the Bible, like, they settled in a place that was a damn desert? It had to be good. It had to have grass or
Right.
something.
They had to eat something.
Yeah, like, they're like, how did they survive? Like, they bring everything in, but it's like back then it was probably a nice place. But just like that, it's like I don't really think climate change is like how they per se it. I'm like, the old Earth changes all the time. It's
Right.
just we can't tell. We're 70 years of life. This is like 2,000 years of movement.
Yes, and it
But
becomes it becomes like that becomes cultish, where people will glue themselves to the road, and
but
I
at the
I
same
see that.
time, they, you can see like things went a little more nuts when people in the Industrial Revolution. And it's kind of that edge. It's like, would it
Can
still
can
happen?
you
Yeah, but we kind of do impact it a little bit. But
we impact it to a very 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 small scale, much smaller than like we're being told. We're being told. Humans, it's the Matrix attack, right? Humans are
And
parasites on the planet,
that's the hard
and
part.
that's
It's like
wrong.
how much of an impact do we really have over something that's been happening millions of years? You know, like
Yes, and
I don't know.
how arrogant are people to think that they have that big of an effect in the world? You know, like most of the
Yeah.
land in this, for all the skirmishes over land and
Hmm.
whose land is whose and everything, most of the land on the planet ain't populated.
Yeah. But
You know,
I think that's something people from cults like see a lot more. It's like everyone has a really big ego compared to what you're told in the they're like, don't feel good. You're the
uh huh,
problem. And then you come out like everyone has an ego, dude, like to tell everyone else what to do.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's weird. I couldn't adjust when I got out. Like I had a
It's
real hard time
uh,
adjusting.
that was my big thing is I'm still adjusting.
Yeah.
Like shit, like I I went more with the mental health stuff, like accepted that
Hmm.
easier than like trying to figure out how to work in the world because you're just wearing a mask. Like it's like do those people in the Jehovah's Witness or Mormons or like after they don't actually believe in it and it's not their energizer, like they're all just faking it.
Right.
And it kind of goes to that fake it till you make it, and you're like, I can't fake it till I make it.
Right. I'm just not buying your bullshit anymore. Like, and
Yeah,
I can't do this. Do you believe in God?
I'm like, I think there's something bigger than us,
Yeah.
whether it's like aliens or one huge being or what. Like, I don't know. It doesn't matter to me at this point to find out, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, I believe in God. I was an atheist for a long time
Mm,
because the school was
dude.
really religious, and I was like, you know, you get out and you're sort of unmoored, you know, and you're used to a real rigid structure of like I was in church every day,
Oh, it's like boot
and
camp.
every night. Yes.
It's like I compare it to boot camp because you never.
Your mic dropped out. I can't hear you.
Yeah, my
Now
timer went
I
off,
got you
but
again. Okay, cool.
okay. Okay,
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah,
like
like
boot
it's like
camp.
boot camp. Like you never go to war, but you're preparing for something for your entire life. You're like, oh,
Yes,
but it's
yeah,
such a it's like I have autism spectrum. Like the rigidity of the routines. Like
right.
didn't realize it because I had such a perfect like environment.
Knowing what's next. You know,
Yeah.
that was one of the things I like oddly I liked about it. Like
Hmm.
every day was pretty predictable. And then every so often, you know, like my cult was an excess of order. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
right now the cult of America and certainly the cult of leftism is an excess of chaos. And like I don't like that shit. You know, I really hate that shit because I've been so exposed to order. And like you kind of need both in order for a society to function. You
Yeah.
know,
You
you
need a
can't have
balance.
right, you can't have too much order, but you can't like too much chaos is just you know, it's ridiculous. You need like just enough.
Yeah,
And
and like my background is like I knew I was bipolar like from like 23, so and I'm like wait, almost 40, so it's like I've always tried to be boring because like
mhm,
in my 20s I was like you're the funnest fucking person in the world because like you can drink and black out but you're still fun.
right.
But like after so long I'm like god, I don't want to have the chaos, but I want a little bit of chaos, but the like knowing everything moment by moment like a planner, like that's such a grind.
Uh-huh.
And you're like after so long of it, you're like I gotta just throw my like you gotta like do something random.
Yeah. Or do something to like wreck something. You know,
Yeah, like
you need to break something. You need to break some part of your life. You need to
it's kind of like
go do
because
some stupid shit.
you're in this place that they're like be perfect. Your
Hmm.
whole goal is to be perfect, which I don't know, but perfection seems to be a very dull being.
Right. Perfection seems to be neurotic to me,
Uh-huh.
and that's how I got. Like they had this thing where like you ever read 1984?
I'm still like I need to. It's like it's on my bucket list because like I've watched the movie, and I watched like half this movie. It's not even. I know it's not even as good as the book, but I'm like, that's too close still. I was like, did they come up with this from like a cult back? Like how? Like I'm like, fuck this, man.
Communism. It's all about
Uh,
communism, which is sort of like, if you look at what's going on in America right now, like that's our culture has been largely shaped by Marxists for as long as we've been alive, like whether
yeah.
you know it or not. And like I hate Marxism. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely despise Marxism because I think it's an envious, pathetic, but really effective means of controlling people. And
Right.
these are people that are like amoral. They don't believe in anything. They believe in whatever the thing that the group consensus mechanism chooses goes with, and that's how you get penis women. You know?
Well, I gotta say that's a very like because you'll get this like in tech, like your background is in tech, like my background's in tech. Like I went and got a I have a degree in software engineering, but
Hmm.
at the same time, because of that, like that extremes from like the Jehovah's Witness, like once you look at tech so much, like you're like God, you're so disgusted with everything.
Yep.
Because it's like after you know like how they get it and like the whole freaking pipeline, you're like, I just want to live in a tent, dude. Like this is awful.
Yes. Yeah. Because believe me, I don't think that the cure to Marxism is capitalism. But
No,
like
like yeah, and like
capitalism is the best of the bad systems that we've made
mhm,
up. But like clearly it's not serving its purpose anymore because it serves some masters that are unworthy of it, which means that the system's like rotten to the core. And like there needs to be a new ism.
yeah,
Like I think we're all ready for a new ism and we just don't know what that is, like collectively. But
yeah.
like to shift back between extreme capitalism and extreme Marxism, like
Okay,
that's where we've been going for the last like I don't know, a couple hundred years.
yeah, and it's kind of I find it interesting because it's just everything kind of like turns into that pyramid scheme like
Yeah, it
vibe
does.
because you're like, okay, we have this top group, like Joe's Witnesses have the governing body. It's like this 10 guys that kind of run it all.
Are
And
they the
then,
elders?
yeah, like, and then, well, that's the hierarchy. Like, they're the top dudes. Then they go down to these, uh, like these guys that travel all over the state and stuff. Like, this is what, when I grew up in it, like, they had a whole freaking like, army. Like, it was kind of like a business or like a corporate ladder. You had these people that travel like and they would go to like this group, and then those people oversaw like people that were actually in like a county, and then those people oversaw the elders who are the people that you dealt with as a group member.
Gotcha.
And you're like, it's so much hierarchy, but now that we went to modern times, they just can stream that shit, so everyone gets to watch videos of the top 10 people.
It really is wild. Like
Well,
if I could take a so how old are you?
I'm 37.
37. Okay,
I'm
so
that
you grew
person
up.
I'm that person that started an analog and like real stuff, and then I like in like 12 to 13, like my teens, the internet hit and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then now I'm like a bitter old man. And then once my childhood back.
Yeah, I know. Like I even though I was in a cult in the 90s, I'd still go back to that time. Like I wish we were back in like 1993.
Well,
That would be a great time.
and my view of it now is more it's just we could do well now. You don't have to go back to a time that was all analog, but no one knows a balance of being real and being virtual.
Right. Well, and it's
Yeah.
my stepson was over tonight, and
Mm-hmm.
we were watching something on TV, and he's like, "Shit, man, I can't even tell what's real in AI anymore when it's on a screen." And I
Oh
said,
yeah.
I know, I think that's the point, because these things have dropped where like right now, right now, somebody could look at our conversation
Mm-hmm.
and go, well, maybe these aren't even real people. And that's a place we've never been before. Like we were always
Yeah.
able to tell with the movie characters, like, oh, that actor is portraying that character. Well,
Mm-hmm.
now we're constructing digital constructs of normal people, which is like
Yeah.
That's
And
that's really dystopian.
I gotta say, like, because I was like, when I was a teen, like, my first thing was I built websites. I learned all this stuff because of like my quirks. I love reading documents, like documentation. Like, I'm not into reading books, but I love freaking documentation, man. I don't know, set structure bullshit.
Right.
And I can do it really good, but like like 2015, 2016, I'm like, I don't really like the internet, and it's just like gone since. And it's because there's more bots. It's not real. It's like there's more bots than people, and you're like, I'd rather have a person like do some like insults or hate me than a bot be like sucking my dick and like being so friendly. I'm like, you are not real. Like, I'm in my back where I started in the cult. Like, you're so nice. I don't like it. Be mean.
Yeah.
Or that not feeling real. Like, yeah, I had like a breakdown before, dude. Like, because like I felt like in like the cult, like you don't feel real. Like, I was like 12 and I'm sitting there in the meeting, like the church, and I'm like, everyone's so nice, and like this guy had a heart attack in the front row, and they just dragged him to the back. They just kept going. No one moved
My
other than the
God.
people that were helping it. And I'm like, is this real? Like, is this where we're like, what the? I'm like, where am I? Like, who? What's going on here? And it's like, I
Right.
feel like we're moving to that era. Like,
We are.
normal human beings, they're so focused on something. They're like, should I help? Should I just stay? It's like you're implicit, and it's like, just do what you think you should do. Like, if they got the help, then you don't want to get in the way, because then you're in the way. But it's like, you got to think for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me. What you just said reminds me. I just watched that Netflix documentary on that Travis Scott concert, and
uh,
that was people were getting crushed to death, and dudes up there performing, and like there was a kid up there screaming like, "Hey, people are dying here," and they're
uh,
just like, "Get the fuck off the stage." Other people that were there, and it's like, we've reached that point where it's like, all right, you just want bread and circuses.
uh,
You don't care that like people and like enough people died there and enough people were injured where it's like this is crazy. And who was
yeah.
responsible? Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody got held accountable. Because we have this faceless bureaucratic nightmare of a world that's sort of this Marxist like that's part of the Marxist worldview is that nobody's actually responsible for anything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we'll
man.
give you money and shut you up, but life has no value.
And
Or it has a
that's
dollar amount attached to it.
that's the craziness and like the vibe. Like, it's kind of like capital, like whatever system we use, but it's like tech really isn't the best one to do it, because when you
No,
go like if you ever read like any of the terms and conditions, like everyone gets, they choose all their own stuff, like their own battles. Like, it tells you where you're going to go to, like where you're going to go to court if you sue them. It tells you you're going to go to arbitration. It tells you them like they're going to go to this state. You have to go to that state to sue. Like, they have no, like, it's kind of like holding someone accountable. It's like, you really can't, like, if a what, self-driving car runs a person over, who really gets in trouble for that? There's no one
nobody.
there. Like, and like, before, I remember when AI wasn't, I don't even know if AI is smart enough to actually drive a car, because in the past they used to have people in another country running a little joystick controller doing that, so they could actually get the money to make AI.
Wow.
Like, it's like it's kind of that Steve Jobs vibe. Like, everyone does, like, that's how tech makes it, dude. Like, they give you a something that hasn't actually been created yet, but they're working on it right now. And
Yep.
once it falls apart, you can become like someone we all know. I'm not. It's like, but you've been pushing something for 10 years because it still has issues.
Yes, and the issues never get solved.
Yeah, but it's like, it's the same probably issue. It's just you still haven't hit the root, and it's like, like,
Yeah, the tech people scare me because I'm in tech, and like most of the people that I end up working with are like either crazy people or they're stupid and dangerous.
oh, I
Um,
love it. It's freaking wild.
it's just It's nuts. Like,
It's such it's like comedy. Like when you meet like people in tech, you feel like you're at, like at the comedy place meeting like comedians. Like these people could be on like all you have to do is pass like what a drug test the first time, and they're like fucking on cocaine or Adderall, like whatever. They do
yeah,
all sorts of stuff to make those deadlines,
whacked out of their minds. Yep.
or they're just like me and they're super like into it and they're hyper focused. Like I love this.
Yeah, or you get a guy that doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Like, nah, he just doesn't speak. No, that's him.
Yeah, he sits in a closet and just he lives there.
Like, you wouldn't even know he worked there.
Yeah.
You know? I hate remote working. I hate remote working. Like, I like going into an office and being social, but what I'm finding with like younger people is that like they all want to work remotely, and I don't think that's good for people. Like, I think it's good to
No.
be around other people. I think it's bad to be isolated.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a big mix. Like there, I could see like having like the Monday and the Friday or something. Like we all want to skip that day. You probably should take like, but they also like have the stats. They say we get nothing done on those days because we're
Right.
already so it's like, are they really productive? What?
No.
So it's kind of like maybe you should do a remote day. Then you come in for person a couple of
Right, but
days.
then
But it's kind of that whole deal. Like, okay, then if you work for you have to work for a big company. The big company is located in California. If you're here in Florida, it's like there has to be something, man. WeWork was kind of modern, like
oh, was
the
that the
it was
that
like
was the
it was kind of like the workspaces thing. It's
wasn't
kind of
that
like it
yeah,
collapsed. It
it collapsed
collapsed. I'm
like
gonna say it was
fantastically,
yeah.
right?
It collapsed. They thought it was gonna be like the next revolution, and it just collapsed so horrible. But at the same time, it's like it's got a great idea.
It's a good concept. It is a good concept
Yeah.
because you need socialization.
And the
And
other
like
side is if you all work in California, you are such in a like you're in a funnel. Like you all have the same ideas. You're gonna run out. But if you go travel or you see somewhere else, you get to see a different perspective and you can like come up with new ideas because you're talking to someone that doesn't have the same ideas. I hate that. I hate that when like just like the cults, they're like, we're the only way, and you're like, it's like, dude, there's more ways than one.
yeah, this is the only way to do it. And it's like,
Yeah,
well, you know, we all meet the same finish line. You know, we all die, but there's
yeah.
like a million different ways to die. So if there's a million different ways to die, there's a million different ways to live that are equally valid. You know,
I love
and
how we have so many movies that are like a million ways to die, and it's like they literally like there's movies that show different ways to die, or 1,000 or 100, and then they have a part two, and they're like, yeah, we can do it more.
yeah,
It's not one way, man. We're all gonna
Final
end up.
Destination,
Yeah,
Final Destination 18. It's like fire ants. Fire ants killed this guy. Allergies, gluten allergies. That's what it's gonna be in the future.
yeah.
You know, like the creative people, have really hit a block
Hmm.
with this woke ideology, which I really like. I hate. Like I like to consume a lot of funny shit,
Yeah,
and like a lot of funny shit has run out because most of the funny people aren't allowed to be funny anymore.
it's a
Because well,
hard. Yeah, like South Park. I almost feel like South Park. Like I love South Park. It to like I don't know what was going on. Like, from what I found out, it was a bunch of contracts that their lawyers were suing, and they weren't sure which streaming platform.
uh,
But I'm like, did they run out of ideas? Are they allowed to be offensive anymore? Like, what's
I think
happening?
I think they're like the exception to the rule in the
And
mainstream.
yeah, they're an exception to the rule, but it's kind of weird to me. I'm like, if the exception to the rule can't do it, can everyone else do any?
Everybody else can do everything. I think, I think the way to defeat the stifling, call it cancel culture, woke. I would
Yeah.
just call it Marxism. I think the way to defeat that is to just reject its premises, because ultimately, like the Marxists always lose.
Hmm.
Communism's never worked. And the
Yeah.
reason it doesn't is because it's got too many rules that you can't keep up with. Like that's what I hated about my cult, is that they killed you, even though it's an excess of order.
Hmm.
They have the same fundamental substructure, which is we're gonna everything that we say the opposite is true. Like it was based on
Yeah,
absolute honesty. In order to be honest, you had to lie and say that you
the
loved the place.
hypocritical
Everything's
life,
hypocritical.
and that's
And
what I hated. Like
yes.
I have a really big vibe of justice, and it's like it doesn't vibe with those cults because like at the same time like oh I loved it. So the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses, they show like an example, like they preach all this like you can't drink, you have to like all these different rules, don't vote, don't get blood transfusions, we're gonna live this, we're not gonna I think it was Norway sued Jehovah's Witnesses, said it wasn't a religion, it's a cult, and they're like, we're not gonna change. And then like 2 years later, after the lawsuit kept going, they fucking changed, and that was an
Of course.
evolution of the cult because they're like, we got to get that 1.5 million billion. It was like million billion something number. I can't keep up with numbers because of inflation, but it was a big number, and it's like they're trying to get the back pay for like 3 or 4 years. So it's like 7, 8, it's
Uh-huh.
growing. So it's like we are not a cult. We're an extremely religious group that on camera is this, but behind the closed doors, we're still the same. Like, and one of the members at the top, they caught him during this whole at the era buying liquor, and he had a whole shopping cart full of booze and everything else. His face was red because he's so like alcoholic, because that's the only
Wow.
drug they can have, man. Like they're so like they live like their compound where they make everything is in like New York, and everything that comes out of the group like on Reddit and stuff is they drink so much because that's the only thing they're allowed to, and not in excess. I was like, man, go get some weed, like something, like calm down, chill out. The end
Right.
of the world hasn't happened yet.
They want it.
Yeah,
They really like
it's that hypocritical vibe. They're making movie studios at the Jehovah's Witness compound
wow.
now, okay, because they're moving into the movie era. But at the same time, they're like, it could happen any day now. And it's like, yeah,
But
this is
let's
why,
invest a million or
yeah,
let's invest $100 million over here.
and that's why like I see a lot of YouTubers and they're like, Jehovah's Witnesses is dying, and it's kind of like, yeah, because they're so hypocritical now. They're like very extreme.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the see the beauty of all of these things like cults like that. So my school, its foundation for success, its
Mm-hmm.
demise was also brought about by, um, and the house of cards eventually comes tumbling down, and it could take decades, it could
Uh
take
huh.
centuries, like
As we've seen
but
in past history, it could, yeah.
right,
But
but it's gonna happen, like
exactly. Eventually, it's kind of like it's one of those things. Like if you think that we are the biggest being on the planet because we're humans, it's like your ego is too big. We live on a planet. Eventually, our star will burn out. We will. This planet will disappear. Millions of years, like in the long term,
hmm
but the short term, we're 70 years. We gotta live it up. We will
yeah.
never know this planet disappeared.
I will say that I believe that human beings are superior to every other being on the planet.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
100%. Like I'm not one of these. I'm not down with the whole. Humans are a virus, and I don't
No, no.
subscribe to that.
I feel
And
like
I
we
think
could do
we're
a lot of good. Like I feel like
yes,
it's two step. It's kind of like that. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I feel like we haven't been pushing ideas and reiteration. We've been sticking to old things, and it's kind of like we have to play with the old change, like the old things that worked, and see how we can improve them.
right. You have to keep, but you have to keep what works, and
Yeah,
you can't completely abandon what works. You can't just burn
because
the whole thing down because it's like
and
ultimately
I've learned that over my 20s is exactly that. It's like you can't just go to damn anarchy, bro. Like that doesn't work. Like you
no.
can't just go. It's like, okay, so if we don't go from like whatever we're using now, like the world is involved. Like I just got this damn this thing called a super note because I take so many notes, dude. I bought it from a design guy. These people, this huge corporation, don't know where in the world they are, but it came from like China like 3 days ago. Like they go, well, they have, after you order it online, they're like, give us 7 days, then we'll ship it. it took longer for that 7 days than it did for them to ship the literal product from halfway across the world. Like it
Uh
took
huh.
3 freaking days. I was like, how the fuck can we not solve another problem than sending a product?
Right.
We could
Right. We've
probably
gotten
live
that one
forever.
solved.
It's like if we really wanted to, we could probably cure everything. But
Likely.
that's not, but yeah, like it would take a long time maybe for the hardest problems, but the low hanging fruit, we could probably cure that pretty quick.
I would imagine, like cancer, like
Yeah.
I'm sure cancer's curable. I'm sure there's already a
Oh
cure
yeah.
for
I've
cancer,
seen, well, even if there isn't like this, like that whole, you mean you go from the system to the anarchy? Like, what if we had the system like in the 50s and it's like we're still learning the system? They're like, here's a cure, we can go free. And they're like, whoa, bro, we almost got this system worked out. We can't just throw it off. And now it's kind of like, what if we blend that into, like there has to be a middle ground. Like you can't, but someone has to lose, someone has to win, and we can't be the losers. So it's like it doesn't seem like the middle ground ever happens.
No, and I think it's an intractable problem, right? Like
Yeah.
if you read the Bible, I think everybody during their lifetime, the world's always ending. And like at some
Hmm.
point your world is going to end and so is mine. Like our lives are going to be over.
Yeah.
We're the only species on the planet that is aware of our own mortality. So I think
Exactly. And that's a killer. That's a power move.
yeah.
And how we have become the top dogs. Like sharks are a top dog, like wherever they are in their environment, but we can travel everywhere in the world. Like that kind of makes us the top dog.
Right. Well, and you got to remember too, there are a lot of people out there
Hmm.
that are so afraid of their own mortality that
Yes.
they go, you know what? I'd prefer that everybody died at the same time. And I myself
Yeah.
have been there too, where it's like, well, when you die, everybody else is dead to you. So,
It's
but
okay.
there are people that go, I'd like to take everybody out with me. And when I say everybody, I mean like
The whole,
everybody,
yeah, it's
the
like
whole world.
it's like a literal, it's kind of that craziness because you're like, I think they're joking, but it's like, no, this is a literal, like they want everyone gone if they die.
Yes, yeah, and there's a lot of those people that are in power right now. So you
Hmm.
just go, holy shit. Like
Yeah.
that's a wild thought that I've had. It's like, hey,
And
there's
that's,
people right now that when they die, like Pelosi's one of them.
uh,
you know, she had her hands on a nuke, she'd kill us all when it was her time.
and it's kind of like, it's not like, and that's the whole, like, like people are more than just their group kind of vibe. Because, like, people in other countries, like, some of them nut jobs, they have the same vibe,
Hmm.
that same idea that's floating in the air. They're just doing it at a different angle.
Right, right. Every Western society right now seems hell bent on committing its own genocide, if you know what I mean. I don't know if you pay attention to much of what's going on in the world, but
But dude, like, because of my cycle, like my but like my energy cycles and everything from bipolar, autism, and ADHD, I had to get off meds because I was sick. I haven't seen anything for the last like 2 or 3 weeks, and I like come back. I'm like, fuck is going on? Like, I'm glad that we haven't died in the last couple of weeks, but it's like, God, we're. This is why you can't turn the news off like every day, or you miss like. It feels like I missed like a year of information.
yeah, because so everything moves so fast, and
Yeah.
there's no getting away from it. Like, yo, you open your browser up, you're bombarded with it. Your phone's notified. Like
Yeah.
everybody wants you
And
to.
that's what I had kind of like a shutdown, like I got sick, everything, because I've been overstimulated so much, man. Like I I'm still working on my phone. I miss people's texts because I like closed all these things off because I can customize. You can customize your phone if you know what you're doing. But I just like killed everything that would alert me, and I'm like, God, I need some of those back.
Yeah,
I need to be in the world, man.
it's probably good to take
It's good to
breaks
take
from
a
it.
vacation though, dude. Like,
Yeah,
it's so good to take a vacation because it's like it's kind of like you have to accept it. Like we all have to be part of bigger than our community. Kind of, it's like the world community. At the same time, it's like we got to take a step back and like see ourselves for who we are instead of what we pretend on the internet. everything else, or be yourself, you know? Like, I find that I love that vibe that's been changing. It's not more of a persona, it's more being yourself
Right.
everywhere, kind of. Don't
That's what you.
hide,
That's what you
because that's what
should
you should
be.
do. Yeah, you should be
Yes.
that. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to roll with more, is like, because I had mass from the Jehovah's Witness, or people would judge you for the mental health, like, oh, you're bipolar, you're gonna, what you got in your pocket? You're gonna go nuts on me. But it's like,
Yeah, you got a screwdriver on you. They're looking at you weird. You're like, no, I'm just opening a PC up here. I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not going on a stabbing spree.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's
that, like, you gotta find other groups, you gotta talk to people. It's like, see how they see it, because like I would hang out with a lot of bipolar people, and I'm like, man, we all freaking go nuts at the same time. I gotta get away from this.
you don't. And there's also that part about you that crazy people attract crazy people, and
Well, yeah, because
yep,
like I went, like, after I left, like I met, like, I wanted to like hang out with one person and see how it is outside of the Joe's Witness cult. All those people are just as freaking nuts as inside the cult, but they're not. Then I meet, but they all have mental health problems. So I meet them, then it's like I move on to another group. I'm like, everyone has a damn problem, man. It's just, what is your problem?
right. Well,
It's,
everybody has a problem, or like you said, like a mask that they wear, like like those full of it people that it's like, I know
mm-hmm.
you're full of shit.
Yeah,
Um,
they're sellers. They sell a good vibe, or they're salesmen.
right, but like behind it, their life is a wreck. But you would never know, because there's a facade that's put up, and it's like, oh, this guy's got it all together, everything's good, like everything in his life is perfect, and they're like, yeah, you don't know the half of it. This
Yeah,
guy's hanging on by a thread, but he's not willing to put
admit
down
it,
this facade.
do
And
it.
there are
Yeah.
there are those people, like, I've met a few people in my life that have been like, they've worked through all of their shit, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like genuinely good, untroubled people. And I will say the one thing about most of them is that, and this brings it back to like AA.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were in AA and left AA at some point, but
Yeah.
remained sober. And those were
Right.
the ones, like completely sober, but not like, oh, I need to use sober as like an ideology. It's just like, no, I'm
It's
so
just something
fulfilled.
they do.
Right, I'm so fulfilled with my life the way it is. I don't really want to
Mm-hmm.
drink.
Yeah.
That's where I would like to be at someday. You know.
Yeah. It's, yeah, and I see that vibe too. And it's like, I quit drinking. It's been, oh, like 8 to 12 months kind of thing.
Good for
And
you.
it's like, but like at the same time, that was what I used in my 20s to mask, was like, people didn't know I had like any of my stuff, because like I was inhibition, like you're more,
Inhibition, Mikey.
yeah, you're more yourself when you're drunk. And it's
Hmm.
kind of like, but I took a lot of meds for like, like Adderall, anything for like my symptoms. And now it's like I use a lot of weed, but I use like, I'm like a scientist with this shit. Like, at one point I was like so anxious, I went down to like 103 pounds. I'm like, okay, what can I do?
Wait,
I'm like,
103? Did you say?
yeah, I'm a small dude, man.
Damn,
My average,
103 is.
yeah.
How
Now I'm
much do you
back.
weigh?
Now I'm back to my average, but I've been smoking a strain that makes you have the munchies. So I actually like food. I'm like 120,
Okay,
and that's
yeah, I
like,
guess that is a
and
small
that's
frame.
and that's literally from like 2 weeks ago to now. Like, I went from 103. I was sick, had the flu, and then I went on, and it's like now I'm 120 and back to where I was. I was like, good,
That is good.
yeah. But it's like
That
I've
is good.
taken.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of weird zone, because I'm like, like I have that joke about the list of meds I've been on. But it's kind of
Yeah, I
like
know
some
that
of
one.
those, yeah, like some of them, like Prozac or whatever med. It's like, if it works for you, that's freaking phenomenal. It just, none of that shit worked for me. But it's also, but it's like I have so many things I'm juggling. It's like I can't keep with the thing. I have to change my shit up like every day.
Yes. Yeah. What? So you on Prozac? I was on lithium for a little while.
That's what they started. I was on lithium, then they went to Depakote, because those are the first. Those are like, it's weird because people, it's like that was the first one, lithium,
Hmm.
and it's like that's still the go-to.
Yeah, for a
And they
mood
started,
stabilizer.
and they, yeah, for a moose, and that started in the 70s, dude. And we're
Yeah.
still at that point. Like, that's the best thing to go to. They're like, well, you could try. It's like, let's see, Cymbalta, triazolone, mirtazapine, lamictal, klonopin, adderall. It's a, you can try all these other things, but they also have more, like, if it doesn't work for you, it might have an issue that really affects you.
Yeah.
But lithium, dude, like when I was on lithium, you'd get so dehydrated. Like I had to drink so much water. Um, the problem for me with it was I'm such a small person that I couldn't hit a dose that was actually therapeutic without being toxic
Wow.
because I
Yeah, because
don't
I know.
weigh enough. I don't weigh enough to handle what I needed for that drug.
Yeah, you don't want to get those goiters either. I
Yeah,
remember
I
that was
got
one of the first thing I looked at with lithium. It's like, yo, you could get a lithium induced goiter. That shit, that sucks. I don't
I
want
got a
that.
lot of kidney stones later from it.
Damn.
I had I had a big addiction to energy drinks after that. So it's between the energy drinks and that. So
Yeah, I was on it for cluster headaches.
oh, that's different.
Yeah, I had cluster headaches where it was like cyclical, but my
Hmm.
but my mood at the time was very bipolar, and I always found the lithium blunted me. Like
Yeah,
I was a great worker when I was on it. I didn't want to do really anything, but I didn't say much.
yeah,
You know,
and
I didn't
all
have
and
many
that was the other
thoughts.
thing. I wasn't a social person on the prescription drugs because like I worked at a grocery store. I worked at Publix, and I was a cashier, but none of the baggers except my girlfriend who became my wife knew that I wasn't nonverbal. They're like, "Is he nonverbal?" Because
Wow.
I'm so zoned out. I'm just like to me, like in my head through that whole era, like it's just like me and that customer. I don't even know anyone else is in the zone, and I'm so used to the pattern and the of ringing stuff up. I don't need to look at that. I can just talk to
Wow.
you like there's nothing else going on.
Almost like a cog in the machine.
Yeah, but it's like at the same time, I was such an asshole to the managers because like they want you to say like my pleasure or these other words, and I'm like I came up with like 150 ways to say thank you or my pleasure that weren't my pleasure in like a day, and the managers like say my pleasure. I'm like fuck you,
All
I will not be. It's like I've been in a cult. I'm not a cult member. No,
right, I'm not doing
I'm
that.
not conforming to this nonsense.
Yeah, I found that too, is that I find it very hard to conform to
Hmm.
anything after being out of there. It's almost like the slightest hint of conformity. You
Yeah.
know, like I would probably be a woke lunatic if I wasn't in a cult. But
And
I see that and I go, whoa, dude, the amount of conformity that you people need to have is
oh,
worth not being in your group. You
exactly.
know?
And that was part of it is like at the end, like in my teens, like I was like, because they shun you, they do all this, like you lose your community. But that was my born in community. So it's like I lose everyone kind of.
Uh huh.
And it's like not even in like, because it's like you don't really are supposed to talk to outsiders. I'm like, well,
Of
around then
course not.
yeah, I was like, around then I was like, screw this. I'm just going to leave. So I saw a group of Jehovah's Witnesses like out in service. They're preaching, and it was by my work. So I lit up a cigarette in front of their car, and I blew a cloud of smoke at them.
And that
I was
was
like,
definitely not allowed, huh?
"Oh no, that's a big rule." And like the next like 5 minutes later, I walked off, and I get a text from one of the people in the car. And they're like, you know, you're gonna have to leave or change. It's like, cause like I was born and like they give more pressure to you than a convert,
I
cause
would imagine.
you've been in it longer. You should know the difference.
You should know better.
Yeah, you should
Yeah.
know better. So they're like, you know, you have to like go to the elders and confess. I was like, fuck you.
Dude,
Like
that was a yeah, that's another tale of cults. So
confession.
yeah, they
Uh,
had at my school they had this thing, we called them dishonesty lists. And
yeah.
you'd have to tell on yourself and you'd have to tell on your thoughts that you had that were like impure. And like you'd have to tell them like this is embarrassing as fuck, but you'd have to tell them like when you last masturbated. And
Yeah.
the screwed up thing was like they would ask. And the one guy
Dude, that's,
yeah, dude,
see, that was the difference. The same, it had the same badness to it. Like masturbation was horrible to like Jehovah's Witness, like, oh, that's a sin, you're self-harming.
But you wouldn't
And,
talk about it,
oh no, I'm like, I ain't bringing that out.
and they wouldn't ask.
But if you're a group, because you're a kid, you tell your other friends like different stuff. I had a group that I knew like from as a kid to like teenage, so we have so much shit on each other. It's like stitches. It's like in jail, they're like snitches or stitches. Do you want to die or do you want to be with us? Like you rat us out, you rat everyone out. We're
Right,
all
the whole
there.
group goes down.
So it's kind of like you don't tell. And then this one kid moved into our group, and he just like ratted on everyone. Like no one liked him after that. He had to leave the area because everyone hates like
Yeah,
it's hilarious, but it's that self that it's like everyone else is trained to rat you out, so you don't even have to rat yourself out. You just have to be like
yeah.
in a double life and not be
That's
seen.
that's how it was at the family. Like everybody,
Hmm.
you couldn't trust anybody. Like there were a few people I could trust. Like
Yeah.
we'd have these things that you'd have to break called negative contracts, where like if I was slandering a staff member or
Uh
something
huh.
with somebody else, if it gnawed at them enough, they'd have to bring me up, and we'd have these things called table topics. And at a table topic, they'd tap on the table 3 times, and they'd go like something like this. It'd be, Mikey, could you please stand up? You'd
Hmm.
have to stand up at the head of the table with like, 20 to, I'd say 20 to 40 people looking at you.
Yeah,
And
watching.
I'd say, Mikey, the other day you and I were talking bad about Mary,
Oh, and
and
then you
we should,
tell like what
yes,
it's kind of like making everyone hate you
yes,
because you're telling your insight. Oh, yeah, I hated. I felt that was like the weirdest thing that they did that,
yep,
and that is kind of a very big. Like I love cult documentaries kind of thing. I like watching other cults just because I'm like, what did they do? Because
the right,
it's kind of like an underlying. They all have that skeleton, but the skin and the muscle is different. Like,
yes,
but the
yeah,
underlying 10 top things that make you a cult, they all have it.
yes, the foundations are very much the same, but what it manifests as is very very different, like based on the cult. So
Hmm.
this one we would have, we had negative contracts, we had table topics, we had sanctions. Sanctions were a way of punishment.
Hmm.
So we'd have like the blackout sanction, right? And the way that they kept everybody in line is that like if somebody, because you always had outside people coming in, and that was the thing that fascinated me. It's like, how do they keep such order with so many outsiders constantly coming in? Well,
Or
they
the rotation.
yes, because
Yeah, the
you've got
churn.
kids there that are. It was a minimum stay of 18 months, but there were people that were there for like years. I
I was
mean, and
gonna say,
eventually
like, how
everybody
long do you
leaves.
like? Eventually, because it's like it's a spot for something. Like you like whatever it is, addiction, anything. It's like eventually you have to move on. They can't. It's otherwise you become a mental patient and you're in the psych ward, and it's like that's why institutionalized is gone. Like it didn't work. You can't afford that shit, man. Like no one can afford institutionalization. So it's like,
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And what they do is like, if you were really argumentative,
mm-hmm,
you would be put on something called yes thank you, which basically meant that I could tell you whatever, like, hey, go pick that up over there, and you'd have to say yes thank you and do it. And if you didn't, and you were belligerent, me and somebody else could tackle you and wrap you up in a blanket and throw you on the floor in the library and leave you there until you piss and shit all over yourself. And then once you had piss and shit all over yourself, you'd be let out. So like we had things like
it's
we had things
yeah,
like that.
and it's kind of this. It's kind of ironic and funny because it's like to me it's funny because it's like yeah, I had something like that, and then
Yeah,
other people are like, that doesn't make sense. It's like, yeah, we live in America, and this is what we have freedom.
yeah, no, there was
But
no freedom in there.
yeah, and it's kind of it's that's the hypocritical thing that actually broke me about kind of like Jehovah's Witnesses and everything is like because Jehovah's Witnesses between like the 50s and stuff, they went to court so they could do what they do a lot. They're like we're and what they hid behind though because they're the cult like they actually are after for themselves. but it's like what they hid behind was the First Amendment's rights. And it's kind of like, if we have the right to go and believe in what we believe in, it's like, I believe in that, yeah. But at the same time, it's like, don't ruin people's lives if they don't accept your way.
Right.
I think that's a little too far. Like, now we're going a little not, I think we're going past the whole,
Oh, because the vengeance when you're an outsider
oh,
is
they're,
is like no other. I mean, I got kicked out of that place.
mm,
Like after I left, I went back after I relapsed, thinking like, hey, maybe you guys could help me out. And like
like,
it was like the Matrix attacked me, and they're like you can't be here. I'm like, well, I'm gonna die. I got people wanting to kill me. And they're
mm,
like, you can't be here. You drank.
yeah.
And it's like, and you rejected our ideology, so we're rejecting you now, and you're not welcome back. Like, because they'll do that. Like, you're probably not welcome back in the Jehovah's Witnesses now that you've been excommunicated, unless you do a
No,
large amount of groveling and subjugate yourself to them forever and give them all your property.
yeah, like,
You know?
yeah, because like for me, like, if I went back, it would probably take years of me doing their ritual of going back, because like you have to go back and you sit in like the back or something, and they're saying they're not doing this now, like they've given up. That's
Well,
the
they're
whole
doing
thing
it.
is
You know they're
cult,
doing it.
because they know that what made them not a cult in Norway was the shunning practice. And that's, if you think about it, all cults at the end of the day, that's how they keep so many believers, like
Yeah,
after you get over the the first, like, oh, it's shiny, like, and you start grinding year after year, it's like the shunning kind of holds them, because
yeah.
whoever's the top dog in your group, the elders or the school people, like they know all your shit, like it's like having a journal that's out to them only, and then they like write it down and they have all your history. It feels
And they
fucked
know
up.
how to use it, and they know how to
Yeah.
use it against you.
So
And they know exactly all your fears and all your insecurities, and they can exploit them.
and it's like, because it's what they're doing is they're kind of saying, I'm like a doctor, I'm a therapist, or I'm a psychiatrist. Things like that have rules around them that they aren't allowed to tell other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. I like parameters personally. I don't like exact hard rules, but I like parameters to see how far I can go and not. But it's like psychiatrists and therapists, like they make, like, you sign a paper, they sign a paper. If they follow that rule, they can't tell even like their husband or wife like really what they said. They can give, like, like, it's the confidentiality deal.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like Jehovah's Witnesses. It's like you could go up there and confess, and they're like, oh, only us three men will hear this. And you could be like, yeah, I was thinking of this other person in the group. And then like the next time you come to the group, all the women are like, you weirdo, or like everyone knows.
Yeah.
It's such a clique life.
And then but nobody says it. Nobody will say it out loud and identify
Uh-huh.
that thing. But you
No
all know
one.
they know, and they all know that you know that they know, but they won't verbalize it, and that's freaking annoying. You
And
know you're an
it,
outcast when you go into like that setting, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
and it's such
Oh,
a, it makes you feel like, it makes you feel
so
crazy.
awkward.
It's so weird because it's like, they know, but they know. It's such a back and forth, red lines to string kind of idea,
Yep.
but it's
Because
real.
yes, and nobody can say anything. Like because they know they can't verbalize it because they've broken a rule just for this setting or scenario to
And
exist. But
yeah,
but in spite of all that, in spite of all that structure, it exists. And
and
you're
it's the
in that
whole
situation.
hypocriticalness of how you got into that problem.
Correct. And like they have this reality stone. You know, that's what I see it as. Is like you're wearing these reality goggles, and when you're somebody like you and me, people that question, I always, for all the time I was there, I had questions about these rules, and they'd
Oh
say
God.
shit like, hey, if staff tells you to go and jump in the lake, you can complain, but you better come back wet. And and I
You
knew
can
I knew
argue, but you have to still do it.
and the obvious thing was, you knew that you'd have to come back wet, and if you complained, you'd just be in more trouble. So like,
Yeah, they're telling you something you can do, but
but
in
you
our
can't
culture,
actually
you
do it.
technically can't because you're just giving us ammunition to use. Like,
Right. You can't tell on staff. And like
yeah.
we had a staff member, this guy by the name of Paul Gear. He was just arrested, or he was just sent
I love it. That's
for
how Joe's
for
Witnesses are. It's like,
for pedophilia.
hmm
And like I knew he was a pedophile when I was there. I knew 100%. Like the guy was just a creep. He'd come around sniffing us, and he'd go, I smell dishonesty, and you and you'd have to. All right,
come into my
you'd
closet. I smell something.
I smell dishonesty, and you'd have to tell him something that you did that was dishonest. But here's where it gets funny, because like I've talked to a couple people about this that were there.
hmm
The question he always wanted to know, like I tell him something like, "Oh, my shirt was untucked the other day, and I knew it, and I didn't tuck it in," and he'd go, "No,
hmm
that's not it." Like I
He's
was
like
looking at. I was
he's like
looking at hope
Herbert.
and feeling lustful. No, that's not it. The question he always wanted to know is, when
Did
was the
you?
last time you masturbated? And he'd
Oh,
ask
I
you,
know. It's
and he'd
such
ask
a.
you, how long has it been? Where?
Oh yeah, I love it because like I kind of feel like it's kind of ironic and funny because like the Jehovah's Witnesses, it was it's your community, okay? So you're with that preacher. It's kind of like having every like my dad was like one of the like everyone goes up and preach like self talks on the stage sometime. That's the
Wow.
culture. Everyone has to preach. Like you're a preacher, and it's kind of like so we all have to go on stage do something. The women get less options because they're women, and that like the that culture like women don't get to do shit. Like you can't. You're the back seat. But like
I'm gonna have to join the witnesses.
but it's like they like because there's all these different like it's like when I was in it there's an it's you're there for 2 hours but it's split up into like you're there for this 30-minute talk, you're in for this 5-minute talk, you're in for this 15-minute talk, this presentation, and it's all to keep you in that this is the only thing we can focus on or hyper focus on.
Is that like in the hall?
Yeah. And it would because like in my era it was like the 90s 2000s, and it's kind of like they didn't have Zoom, they couldn't just so you didn't know who the governing body really was, who was actually running the show. And
Right.
it's
There
a
were more
worldwide,
shadowy
yeah, it's
figures.
a worldwide organization, so it's kind of like the governing body. It's kind of like saying like some it's kind of like the what was it like this the hero friends or something, but they're bad. And
Yes.
they're not known enough to be like a super villain. They're more like this B grade, like you paid them $5 to be a bad guy. Like
Right, with the twisty
yeah,
mustache
they're
and
like
yeah.
it's like they're kind of grungy and cringy, but not on a level as certain like other people because they're hidden and but yeah, like in my group, like after like when I left, I was like, oh my god, yeah, that guy was weird. Like
Yeah, and when you can finally say the things, all the things you've been thinking for years,
because they
that's
don't
like
allow you to
liberating.
tell your thoughts. Yeah, it's
No,
a weird feeling. It's kind of like you're in America, but you're
but
not.
you're not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of. I really appreciate being in America, dude,
I
because
do too.
it's like I appreciate all those veterans, like everyone, because it's like we live in a very special place.
Yeah, you really appreciate it when you're released
When
from a
you don't
place
get
like
it,
that. Yeah, when your
it
freedom is taken away, and when your ability to criticize the governing body is taken away, it's a
yeah.
very different place. Like right now, I can say, "Hey, yo, fuck Donald Trump," and nobody. You couldn't say that about like the guy that was running the family school. Are you kidding me? I'd be in a blanket. You
Yeah,
know?
they have some type of repercussion. There's something that is going to happen if you say that out loud.
Right.
But at the same time, you're like, "What's your sin, little boy?" So I can use it
Uh
against
huh.
you.
It's all power games.
It's a weird circle, man. Like, and they're just, yeah. And it was kind of like that old man with you. It's like, you're like, well, I said the word fuck. They're like, no, 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 not
That's
that.
not
It's
it.
like that's a bad sin, and you're gonna. I don't. But really, what were you doing in the closet with your like with your? It's like your magazine, your porno mag. and they want to hear about you masturbating. And Jehovah's Witness, like,
It's
you didn't want to go in the back because they want to know every detail
yeah. Where did you
until,
deposit it?
yeah, like,
What'd you do with it? Who were you
it's
thinking of?
it's so crazy how these groups could get away with that. And it's like, until it was like the last, like, it's like after COVID, like, Jehovah's Witnesses, if you were a kid, you would go in that back room with just those three guys. Your parent couldn't come along. Like, they didn't want them to come along or so. But now they can, like, if the kid wants that parent to be in there, they were required. They probably don't do it, but it's like, according to what they said under 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 on
The
the
new governance or whatever.
yeah, well, under oath in a courtroom, they said that they aren't doing that anymore.
Yeah, and
But
you and I
that's the
both
thing.
know that means nothing because, like, the old adherents to the ideology are going to uphold it, and social pressure will stop that from happening. You
and
know?
and that's the thing that it's kind of weird for. It's like, because it's like, that's why some cults, they look at them super dangerous.
Hmm.
It's because they have belief in something, and they're like, I'll die for that.
Well, they will. Yeah.
And it's like, that was my biggest fear, was like, because, like, you can't get blood transfusions as in Jehovah's Witness. They think that's bad. Like, you are life barred if you get, like, back in the day. And then, because they had to do stuff, they split to fractions of blood.
Yeah, because somebody higher up probably needed it.
But they went to
That would be my
fractions of.
guess.
But it's like, it's such a weird thought. Like, at one time they're like, no blood, and then they go to, you can have a fraction of blood, but it's
Uh,
on your conscience. But
I'm gonna get Jake and Levi in here if you want to keep going because they're wanting to do a podcast.
oh yeah, man, I'll do
Are
whatever.
you down for that? I don't know what your
Yeah,
timing's like, but
I can do that.
all right.
They just join in, or?
Yeah, they'll just join in. You can stay on the line, and I'll cut these up. I don't know if you got a channel or anything.
I'm building a channel. I'm gonna start building a channel.
Yeah, it's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun. I don't know what's gonna come of it, but hell, I want to put it out there so it's on the internet forever.
and that was my biggest fear before. Was I only used social media before when I was like manic or
Uh
super
huh.
depressed, and I'm like, I need to change that.
Yeah, I don't really use like
I
I'm not
don't.
on
Oh,
Facebook. I
that was
just
like
use like
a long
YouTube.
time ago. Yeah, and I like, yeah. I'm not
Yeah,
really a social media person, but I like the clips and stuff. I don't want to
yeah.
really. I don't want to say.
I don't want to interact.
Yeah,
I'll talk shit in the comments section though. Hold on, I'm gonna grab a
but
beer. Be right back.
yeah, man. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, because like,
I'm a.
yeah, it's just different because, like, when I was in it, um, how Jehovah's Witnesses are, it makes it weird for you to go out and mingle sometimes. But like, my wife grew up with, like, after I met my mother-in-law, I was like,
Mhm.
oh, like, she doesn't have the words for it, but it's like, you grew up in the same vibe as I did,
Well,
like,
families can be like, dude,
because
anything can be cult like. Like we're
exactly, it's like, when you go away from me, you're like, you're either going, this is a cult, everything's a damn cult,
yeah,
because it's not. It's kind of like, what's behind it, what's backing it.
right. What are the motivations? And I think
Yeah.
we're wired to believe in things. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
believe everybody, even like I think the atheists are the most religious people out there.
Yeah.
Like the hardcore atheists are so committed to atheism that they can't see that they need to believe in that.
Yeah.
Like the ones that absolutely hate Christianity, like they seem to hate
Mm-hmm.
Christianity more than anything else. And
It's
I
like,
just find it strange. It's like, yo, you have a religious adherence to hating people that
who
find a
believe in
religion.
religion. It's
Right.
like,
But
isn't that an
but this is your
oxymoron?
religion. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. And but yeah, it's like, you get more self-aware because you like, you have so many rules that you
Right.
couldn't break, but you're like, I want to break a rule. Like, I was that kid that was like, I want to put my hand on the stove because you said no.
Yeah, I just want to see. I want to
Yeah.
see how far I can push things.
Then I did it, and then it's like, okay, don't do that again.
Lesson learned. And sometimes you have to learn a couple times.
Yeah. But Jehovah's Witnesses are more of a mind, like, you guys got beaten up, like, they're less physical and more mental trap.
Yeah, well, this place, I
It
mean,
just sounds like a mixture of traps.
this was they had everything figured out. I mean,
Yeah.
and I always thought, up until COVID, I thought this crap only works on people that are born into it or on kids, because like kids have no agency, and you can't really advocate for yourself, especially when you're a drug addict kid. Like nobody listens to you.
Oh yeah, they
I
think
got
you're all lying.
I got out of that place and I told my parents, I said, "Hey, I feel like a grown up should know some of the things that went on there," and they
Like,
screamed at me
yeah,
because they don't want to admit and confront the fact that they sent me to a cult.
mm-hmm.
And and I get that, and still to this day, they won't. Like, we don't have a great relationship because of it, you know.
Yeah. And
And
that's the hard part. I find like it's kind of weird because my mom wasn't in it in Jehovah's Witnesses.
that's how
My
did that
dad
work?
was. It was just because my dad's weird because he was probably bipolar like me, but like
Probably
his whole thing was this is keeping me from drinking. Like he
he
like
found
I don't
salvation in it.
yeah like I don't think other people understood what he said, but he would go like they're like, how are you doing? He's like, this is the best human thing I can deal with, like kind of saying this is the
Levi,
best like shitty situation out of all the city's shitty situations.
is Levi on?
Oh, Levi is not on.
Is
Can you
he?
hear us, Jake?
What's up, man?
I can hear you.
But yeah, my dad was a